Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. The top story: amid ongoing trade negotiations between US and India, the External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar met with his US counterpart, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit. Issues ranging from bilateral relations to regional developments and global challenges were the topic between the two leaders. This also comes as Kuala Lumpur hosts the summit. The meet is also seen as important following Rubio's remark in which he said America's efforts to strengthen ties with Pakistan will not come at the cost of its deep historic and important friendship with India. Rubio said the ties with Pakistan is a part of a mature, pragmatic foreign policy. US President Donald Trump had attended the ASEAN summit before leaving for Japan. At the summit, Trump oversaw the signing of an expanded ceasefire agreement between Thailand and Cambodia, which he called a peace deal. Trump, who is on a 5-day tour to 3 Asian countries, will also attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum in South Korea's Gyeongju. As Trump continues his crucial visit to the Asian countries, he will also meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea on the sidelines of APEC. This will be the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders during Trump's second term in office. It also comes as tariff tensions escalated after China imposed export restrictions on ports. But amid the much-anticipated meeting between Xi and Trump, top Chinese and US economic officials agreed on the framework for a trade agreement. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer met with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng and top trade negotiator Li Chenggang on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur for a fifth round of in-person discussions since May. Bessent also said China will delay its expanded licensing regime for rare earths by a year and re-examine it after 2 days of trade talks in Malaysia.
So this was the fifth meeting that I've had with my Chinese counterpart, the Vice Premier, Hu Lifeng, and we covered a wide range of issues, and I think we've reached a substantial framework for the two leaders who will meet in Korea next Thursday. So, on the table, the president had given me maximum leverage when he threatened 100% tariffs if the Chinese imposed their rare earth global export controls. So I think we have averted that so that the tariffs will be averted. I'm not sure what you meant is they had threatened to put a global export licensing regime, and I believe that they are going to delay that for a year while they re-examine it.
昨天以及今天，中美双方经贸团队
There are numerous items on the agenda, including export controls on both sides, the issue of reciprocal tariffs going a step further for an extended period of time, the issue of fentanyl tariffs and cooperation on banning the production of fentanyl. Both sides engaged in constructive discussions on these matters. The stance taken by United States was firm, while China remained resolute in safeguarding its
对等
interests.
关税进一步更长时间展期问题。
And joining me from Washington, D.C. is my colleague Rohit Sharma. Rohit, important meeting amid trade talks, trade tensions between India and the United States of America. We'll talk about US and China later. But first, India and America and an assurance from Marco Rubio that it will not come at a cost of ties with India, America's ties with Pakistan.
Well, I think Marco Rubio is one of those voices, Geeta, even when he was a senator, he always championed the cause of Indo-US relationship. And I think, in what we've heard in the past couple of months from some leading voices in the Trump administration, he's always been the one that's more inclined towards India, more balanced approach. And that's what we saw. And that it's exactly why, he said what he said, because there were doubts among a lot of, at least analysts, I should say, that were questioning, what's going on with the US-India relationship, especially with the United States warming relations with Pakistan. So he went on the record this time to clarify that and making sure that everybody understands that India is important, India is special, and US would not risk relationship with India, and would definitely consider India as more important partner when it comes to Indo-Pacific, when it comes to US-Indo relationship, and even when it comes to Pakistan.
Right. Rohit, stay on with me. The other big story is US President Donald Trump has landed in Japan and has been received a royal welcome by Japan's Emperor Naruhito at the Imperial Palace. Now, wearing a gold tie and blue suit, Trump shook hands with Emperor Naruhito before the two posed for photographers and entered the palace. Trump is the first foreign leader to meet Naruhito after he came to the throne in the year 2019. The US president will meet Japan's newly elected Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi on Tuesday. Trump and Takaichi were due to meet at the nearby Akasaka Palace, the same venue that Trump met the late Shinzo Abe 6 years ago. Trump will conclude the Asia trip in a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday in South Korea. Rohit, if I could come back to you, the other very big important meeting is the Xi Jinping-Donald Trump meeting. Should there be a forward movement on trade, it could certainly look like a lot of trouble for India.
Well, honestly, if again, it's been going hot and cold between the Chinese and the Americans. 10 days ago, or not even 10 days ago, last week, President Trump had come and said he was going to impose 125% more tariffs, or 100% tariffs. Lost track of it. But then, then Secretary Bessent goes to Asia and announces that we have a trade framework. So we'll have to wait and watch. President Trump has been very bullish on this, but he also has been challenging China on this trade, especially when it comes to export controls. So there is an understanding as of now, Geeta, that there is a trade framework that will be announced, that would be agreed upon. And President Trump on Air Force One stating that, he's going to go to China next after next meetings or next round of meetings. We do not know when. And that is also inviting Chinese premier to Florida. But if a trade deal is announced, or at least a framework is announced, I think all eyes would then shift towards India as to what happens with India, because India would be the only other big nation in the world that still does not have a framework with the US on trade. So yes, we'll have to wait and watch, Geeta. Things can move either way because it's Trump administration.
We indeed will have to wait and watch. Rohit Sharma, keep tracking that story. Thank you so much for joining us for now. Now, a horrifying case of racial violence has emerged in London, where an Indian origin woman was allegedly raped. According to preliminary details, the victim is a 20-year-old Indian woman. The suspect was captured on CCTV shortly after the assault. Police received a call from passers-by who reported a woman in distress on the street. West Midlands Police said the incident took place in Walsall and is being treated as a racially aggravated attack. Investigators have released CCTV footage of the suspect and described it as an appalling assault on a young woman, assuring that every effort is being made to bring the culprit to justice. The incident adds to the growing concern over racially motivated crimes in London. Now, in a major policy shift, Bangladesh's interim government is preparing to roll out the red carpet for wanted Indian fugitive Zakir Naik. The Yunus-led administration has approved a month-long nationwide tour for Naik, marking his first ever visit to Bangladesh. The move signals a striking departure from the policies of the previous Sheikh Hasina government, which had banned Zakir Naik's Peace TV following the July 2016 Dhaka Holy Artisan Bakery terror attack. Remember, Naik fled India within hours of the attack after one of the attackers told Bangladeshi investigators that he had been influenced by Naik's preachings through his YouTube channel. And joining us for more on this is my colleague Pranay Upadhyay. Pranay, serious shift when it comes to our immediate neighbor Bangladesh. For India, this should really ring alarm bells.
Absolutely, Geeta. There is no doubt about it. But if you see incrementally, we can see a shift in Bangladesh's policy as far as the radical elements are concerned. We have seen the radical elements protesting against ISKCON, or there is a patronage for elements like Zakir Naik and likes of him in Bangladesh, and that to be done by a liberal face like Muhammad Yunus. So definitely, Muhammad Yunus might be a face, but actually Bangladesh is being controlled by such such elements only. And Zakir Naik, a controversial figure, India's wanted, and not only that, he was one of the accused, one of the prime suspect, because his role was attributed and came up during the investigation of the Bangladeshi investigators of the Holy Artisan Bakery case. You and I, we were there in Bangladesh when this incident happened in July 2026, and after that, the kind of sentiment was there in Bangladesh, and thereafter, Zakir Naik, as you rightly pointed it out, that he fled India within the hours of this Holy Artisan Bakery case terror attack of Bangladesh. And thereafter, now he's being allowed, he's being welcomed.
Right.
And if you see, Geeta, that last year, around same time in September, October, he was welcomed by Pakistani administration, Pakistan government, Pakistan Prime Minister met him, and now he's being welcomed by the Bangladeshi government.
Right. Briefly, very briefly, Pranay, has there been a reaction from the Indian administration?
So far, there is no reaction by the Ministry of External Affairs or Indian authorities as yet. But we have seen that when Zakir Naik visited Pakistan, the kind of reaction given by Ministry of External Affairs and its spokesperson, Mr. Randeep Jaiswal, he clearly said at that point of time that we are not surprised, though, this is condemnable that a neighboring country is hosting a wanted fugitive of India. But this is not surprising.
Right.
But we have to see that what reaction Government of India gives in terms of Bangladesh.
Right. We'll wait for that reaction. Pranav Upadhyay, for now, thank you so much for joining us. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday that as a sovereign state, Israel would determine its security policy and which foreign forces to work with. He said Israel would decide which foreign forces would be allowed to be part of the planned international force in Gaza. The Trump administration has ruled out sending U.S. soldiers into the Gaza Strip, but says it has spoken to multiple countries about contributing to the force. Last week, Netanyahu hinted that he would be opposed to any role for Turkish security forces in Gaza. It remains unclear whether Arab and other states will be ready to commit troops. A major challenge to Trump's peace plan is that Hamas has not committed to disarming. Since the ceasefire began, Hamas has waged a violent crackdown on clans that have tested its grip on power. Israel, which continues to control all access to the territory, allowed the entry of an Egyptian technical team to work with the Red Cross to locate the remains of the hostages from Israel.
We control our own security, and we have made clear that in regard to international forces, Israel will determine which forces are unacceptable to us. And that is how we act and will continue to act. This is of course accepted by US as well, as its most senior representatives made clear in recent days. Israel is an independent state. We will defend ourselves and will continue to control our fate.
Did you talk with them about how the new security arrangement between the U.S. and Qatar will
I
work?
talked to them about it. We actually covered a lot of territory. It's working very well. It's all smooth. The U.S. doesn't have to get much involved. They're able to take care of the very substantial nations. And, we have Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. You have the three, and then you have many behind them, and even with them.
Now, a third term for Trump as U.S. president was ruled out by the president himself. But now he said, and I quote it, "It's too cute," when he was asked if he would return to American politics for the third term as vice president. Donald Trump denied that he would not run for vice president in the 2028 American elections. The U.S. Constitution limits presidents to 2 terms, and Trump began his second term in January. But many of the president's supporters suggested that one way he could return to U.S. politics is to run for the post of vice president. Trump served his first term from 2017 to 2021. The 79-year-old tycoon has also recently displayed red hats emblazoned with the slogan Trump 2028 on a desk in the Oval Office. The president also mentioned that he got an MRI done, though he didn't mention why he did the MRI.
Is that you could run as the vice president?
Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that.
Is it the White House or the White House counsels or your legal position?
No, you'd be allowed to do that, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. And I think it's too cute. Yeah, I would rule that out because it's too cute. I think the people wouldn't like that. It's too cute. It's not. It wouldn't be right.
Can you tell us what
I did. I got an MRI. It was perfect. I mean, I gave you the full results. We had an MRI, and in the machine, the whole thing, and it was perfect. Yeah.
Now, U.S. Navy destroyer USS Gravely arrived in Trinidad and Tobago to conduct joint military training with the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. In a statement, the U.S. Embassy in Trinidad and Tobago said the ship would moor in Port of Spain from the 26th to the 30th of October as part of the long-standing cooperation between the United States and the country, Trinidad and Tobago. Venezuela condemned it and said it was a military provocation by neighboring Trinidad and Tobago in coordination with the U.S. Central intelligence agencies as well, aimed at spurring a full military confrontation with the Latin American nation. Joint military exercises between the U.S. and Trinidad and Tobago are currently underway in the Caribbean. Venezuela said it had captured a group of mercenaries with direct information of the American intelligence agency and whose goal it was to carry out a false flag attack in the region. A false flag attack is an operation when an act is carried out in such a way that a different party appears responsible. Earlier this month, U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed reports that he authorized the CIA to carry out covert operations in Venezuela. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has levied accusations of false flag attacks before, including a plan to plant explosives in the U.S. Embassy in Caracas in early October. Trump has carried out a number of strikes on boats in the Caribbean and Pacific that the administration claims are trafficking drugs. The skies over Pangong are no longer just blue, they're strategic. Beneath Tibet's calm, China is quietly building a new air defense fortress with hidden HQ-series missiles and radar domes, even as India and China flights resume after 5 years. On Statecraft today, we argue, is this détente or domination disguised as diplomacy? At 14,000 feet above sea level, under the cold silence of the Himalayas, a new fortress is rising. Satellite images show China constructing a sprawling air defense complex, radar domes, missile bays, and command centers. Barely 100 kilometers from where Indian and Chinese troops clashed in 2020, but behind this buildup lies more than military muscle. It's unfolding at a moment when India and China are reopening trade routes, restoring flights, and even shaking hands in diplomatic halls. So what does this latest construction really signal? Renewed defense or renewed distrust? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. China is building again, but this time not a road, not a dam, not a bridge, but a secret fortress of air defense near the Indian border. Satellite images reveal a massive new Chinese complex, armed with radar domes, command bunkers, and retractable missile launch bays, all overlooking the eastern tip of Pangong Lake. A place that once echoed with the sounds of gunfire in 2020, now hums with the noise of construction. Is Beijing preparing for defense or designing deterrence? At first glance, the terrain looks empty. Barren slopes of Tibet, shimmering waters of Pangong So, silence broken only by wind. But look closer, and the patterns emerge. Freshly paved roads snake into the mountains. Geometric concrete pads line the valley floor. Metallic shadows reveal radar arrays. And at the heart of it all, a network of buildings with sliding roofs. According to satellite imagery analyzed by US-based geointelligence firm All Source Analysis, this is no ordinary base. It's a new air defense complex, roughly 110 kilometers from one of the key flashpoints of the 2020 Galwan clashes. And what lies beneath those retractable roofs could change the strategic balance across the line of actual control. The structure, experts say, is designed to conceal Transporter-Erector Launcher Vehicles, or TELs, capable of carrying China's advanced HQ-9 series of long-range surface-to-air missile systems. The HQ-9 series is Beijing's pride, a hybrid of Russian S-300 and American Patriot designs, capable of hitting targets over 200 kilometers away. Now, these missiles, hidden under retractable hatches, give China the power to strike or shield at will, while staying invisible to Indian or American satellites until it's too late. Intelligence analysts believe this configuration is deliberate, to protect launchers from airstrikes and reconnaissance, and to allow missiles to fire straight through the opened hatches without exposing their position. It's a design previously seen in the South China Sea, not the Himalayas, which raises a question: is Beijing militarizing the mountains the way it did the reefs? All sources' findings have been confirmed by India Today Global's Bessent team, whose latest images show open roofs over at least one launch position, revealing what appear to be launch vehicles underneath. The new site near Pangong Lake is not alone. A mirror replica of the same complex has been spotted 65 kilometers away at Gar County, directly facing India's Neoma airfield, which New Delhi recently upgraded to handle fighter jets and heavy transport aircraft. In other words, China has built a two-pronged missile fortress, one near Pangong, another near Gar, both within striking distance of Indian positions and both shielded from view. And they're connected by more than just roads. Analysts have detected wired data connection infrastructure between the radar stations and command centers, a sign of integrated command and control. This allows real-time coordination between missile batteries, radar domes, and high-altitude early warning systems. In simpler terms, it's a complete air defense bubble, capable of locking the skies over the western sector of the LAC. So while Indian and Chinese diplomats talk peace in Delhi, the People's Liberation Army is digging in at 14,000 feet. A new base, a new radar, and a new message. China may talk disengagement, but it is preparing for permanence. For centuries, India and China have shared not a border, but a burden. A frontier drawn by geography, defined by suspicion, and scarred by war. Every few years, there is a new round of talks. Every few months, a new round of trouble. Nearly 5 years after the Galwan clashes, both sides continue to maintain between 50,000 and 60,000 troops each along the line of actual control. Disengagement has been announced, yes, but not de-escalation. Beijing's playbook is clear. Build influence in South Asia through infrastructure, diplomacy, and denial. Block India at multilateral forums, bankroll Pakistan's military, and expand presence along the Himalayas. Every road, dam, and base along the frontier tells the same story: deterrence disguised as defense. India, for its part, is responding in kind. The Neoma airfield in eastern Ladakh, once a modest forward base, is being transformed into a fighter-capable runway. New roads now link Neoma to Leh and forward positions along the LAC. Radar stations and air defense batteries have been deployed. In short, the mountains are bristling again. But there's a crucial deterrence. India's construction is visible, even documented in parliamentary statements. China's hides under retractable roofs. That secrecy is the message. And because each bay can hold 2 TEL vehicles, China can rotate its assets, firing from one, hiding the other, making it nearly impossible for adversaries to predict its next move. There's also the question of perception. Every time China builds near the border, it sends multiple signals, one to India, one to Pakistan, and one to the world. To India, it says, we can reach you. To Pakistan, it says, we've got your back. And to the world, it says, we are here to stay.